Okay, so we are joined by Lauren Kellaway, who is joint owner of Kellaways Fish and Chip Shop in 3 Milestone, alongside her mum Amanda. And Kellaways are one of our longest standing clients. So yeah, Lauren's joining us today for her interview. How are you today, Lauren?
I'm good, thank you.
And you've got a puppy. You've got little Freddie.
Freddie
so
here.
Cutest interviewee award goes to you.
Yeah, he's asleep now, so he's doing good. It's what he's like in 10 minutes' time.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be stay there. Okay, so if we get started, I gave you a bit of an introduction, but in your own words, would you like to tell us what it is that you do and how long you've been in business?
So we run a fish and chip shop in Kellaways Fish and Chips in 3 Milestone. It used to be Golden Fry, and we've had, as a family, we've had the business since 1997. So this year is actually our 25th year in business in 3 Milestone. So we, over 4 years ago now, we changed to Kellaways. We wanted to put our own stamp on it rather than just your bog standard chip shop name. And we feel that's made a massive difference to how we sort of run as a family, because it's more personal, and I think we take a little bit more care in how we do everything, because our name is on the door, and we've just got to be a bit more, it's more personal and people know who you are. But yeah, we've been an award-winning business for the last 25 years. We've entered into various industry awards, and I forgot what I was going to say. And
you've won them.
We won, yeah. I mean, some of them are more of an accreditation than an award, and they've sort of changed how they run them over the years, but they are assessed. So someone either in person or most recently in Zoom, they want to see all the shop, how you run everything. They ask you various questions and things like that. But yeah, I've personally been in the shop on and off since I was about 16, but more recently been here for 8 years full time. Yeah. And then about 7 years as a business owner. So yeah.
There's lots of facts in there I didn't know, so that was actually really nice. And interesting to see how the accreditation board have changed their process, I guess, because of COVID, which is something we'll touch on later on. So just to ask you next, I guess you might be able to answer this really simply, but who is your best customer? Do you have one customer that stands out, or do you have sort of particular groups of people?
We have lots of customers that are week in, week out, same order. They're sort of our bread and butter customers, and we wouldn't be here without them. So we're very, very privileged that we do have that consistent custom, because without them we wouldn't still be here. But then we do get lots of, I think they are local customers, but then when family comes down, they'll be like, oh, let's get fish and chips. So that's really nice to see that they value our product that much that they want to share it with the rest of the family when they come to see them, or and sometimes we've done weddings before, or we do have the local amateur drama groups. They sort of mid or halfway through their morning performance and their evening performance, they'll have fish and chips. So cool. It's nice to be able to, sometimes people celebrate things with fish and chips, and it's nice to be a part of that. But you never know. A lot of customers like to tell you their story and why they're coming in, what they're doing. Yeah. But it's always interesting to see how fish and chips is in different people's lives. Sure. In different ways. Yeah.
I guess to me, the stereotypical customer is sort of like someone who is a bit elderly perhaps, and they are coming in to get their weekly fish and chips, and then you don't know if you're the only conversation they're having that day, I guess. So yeah, it's always nice to see.
Exactly. Some of them that are on their own, it is nice to be able to have that rapport with them, and because we're right in the centre of the village, they literally walk past every day to get their paper or the milk, or and we always have a conversation if we can. So it's really nice to be such a part of the village as well.
as you say, your name is above the door, so it's all good work. So what has been your biggest impact following the COVID-19 pandemic?
So our business as a whole has completely changed. We used to be your regular chip shop. You come in, you order, we cook it fresh to order. So you'd be waiting in the shop. Whereas now I would say probably even 85 to 90% of our customer now is all done through pre-orders. So it's either online through we have our app or the website, or over the phone. So we tried to keep that sort of exclusive, as open as possible for everyone, because not everyone can get computer access or so on and so forth. But we would have never got the impact of how many online customers we have without the use of the pandemic. So it has been, it's a good thing as well as it being a horrendous thing. It has changed our business completely. And we try and get everyone to pre-order as much as possible because it saves their waiting. And I think that's what most of us has taken out from pandemic, is that your time is very important, and how you spend your time, and you don't want to be stood in a queue waiting for half an hour when it could be ready for you to collect at your convenience. I think people are
working well. So does that reduce waste, for example? Have you got benefits of that?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we know what's coming, so we can prepare in advance, and also we can have, we're not wasting anything. Over lunchtime, we might have a few items up there like sausages, but they tend to hold quite well for the builder or whoever wants to come in and quickly grab a lunch.
Sure.
But of an evening, like all our fish is cooked fresh to order, so none of it's sat there going soggy or anything like that. It's cooked up to 5 minutes before they come to collect, drained in the hot box, and then boxed just before they get here. So it's kept nice and hot, and it for sure. It's not going to be horrible or gooey or anything like that. It's going to be freshly cooked just for you. So
to ask you next, then, what's your biggest learning has been as a business owner?
For me, as it's been a family business, it's always been quite hard to sort of separate family and business and work, because it's all kind of combined. So I think trying to work out actually to say, no, this is my day off, I'm not doing any work, has been really important for mental health, because you can get so overwhelmed by everything, but two, for our working life together, as in myself and my mum, our relationship since we've been with Tim and yourself at Action Coach, that's a completely different relationship. We don't argue.
Yep.
Whereas before it was constant bickering, this, that, and the other, and it wasn't a nice place to be.
Sure.
Whereas now we have a clear idea of what each other understand, where we need to help each other, and how we can work together on what our strengths are. So, for example, Mum's doing all the accounts at the moment, and that's something that I need to learn to allow her to retire and go forward. But she doesn't like the online or all the till work and all the social media, emails and that sort of thing. That's not really her cup of tea. So together we work really well now, and we can sort of we can work together rather than against each other all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's definitely a benefit.
Bless. And it follows nicely to what is most inspiring to you today.
I still, as a child, Mum and Dad, obviously I've grown up with this business, and they always, we always we were comfortable. We always went on holiday twice a year, and we always got to do things, and that is kind of always what I've wanted to be able to do for my family and in the future, and just be able to live comfortably without having the stress of month to month, like, paying your bills and everything like that. And just, I think I never thought this would be what I was going to do, I kind of thought, sort of fallen into it after a ski season of living the best 5 months of my life, and then coming back to being like, right, mum was saying, well, if you want a job, you've got to be here for minimum 3 years because we need to make the most out of it. And I think I respected that because I understand that staff come and go a lot, and she needed someone stable sort of in that situation. But I would say my parents, to be honest, they are hardworking people, and they always put, you know, me first, or their dogs first now in the case, but the business has always been there. And I think the fact that they believed in me to want to update the shop, because like I said before, it was just your average 70s style chippy, fish on the tiles on the wall, you know, and they put their belief in me for me to redo the shop, to design the shop so it would work for the future. And for them to do that is fantastic. And it was, you know, it takes a lot for them to give everything that they've worked for and change it completely because I've said so, sort of thing. But again, that was all because of the Young Fish Fryer Award that I did, and I won that. So won a UK regional award. So I got to go and visit a lot of different shops, a lot of different people, learn an awful lot about the industry that I didn't even know existed, and come back and implement that into our shop, so the way that it works for us. So yeah, there's a lot of people in the industry that have inspired me, but I would say my parents for the way that they've brought me up and the way that they've managed to have a family and run a business successfully. So
I do commend you on that, because I have been to the fish and chip shop and it is beautiful. So it's very modern. It's a nice fish and chip shop. It's memorable. So that's good.
Thank you.
You sort of answered the other question there, which was sort of touching on if that's always what you wanted to do. So we'll move on to any issues. So what have been your biggest issues that you have overcome through the business?
I think the most recent issue is staff. Hospitality is really struggling in that sector at the moment. But secondly, all with Brexit and COVID, the cost of items has just gone through the roof, and almost doubled or tripled in some cases.
Wow.
And it's quite frightening because, again, a lot of people think fish and chips is quite a cheap takeaway, and unfortunately it's not anymore. It's very much value for money, because a piece of fish these days, a cod prime fillet that is sustainably sourced, is on the same par as a fillet steak, and it should be treated like that. But people, it's still, the perspective has never really changed. So it's hard to sort of get that across to people without sort of shouting down their throats, sort of thing. But it's only a few people that will just say, oh, I'm not paying that, and walk out, etc. But at the end of the day, we can't run a business that isn't profitable, and that is something that we've learned with Action Coach massively, because before it would be, oh, we'll just put 10p up on here, that's gone up, this has gone up, whereas now it's specific. It's all gone through our profit margins and working out what we need as a business to be able to succeed, and then worrying about what the customers are going to say after, rather than the other way around. And that has made our business go from struggling but okay to, oh, there's actually a bit of money in the profit pot. Nice. Which is fantastic. So yeah, it's
nice to see. So that was just discussing any issues you've overcome. So then on the flip side of that, what have your biggest learnings been in the business and in life, so outside of the business?
I think I touched on the ski season there, but before I went on my ski season, I always worked for family friends or got a job through someone, because that's how Cornwall is, sort of. and that's fantastic. Whereas on my ski season, I had to be my own person, and I figured out who I was and what I wanted, and that I can be liked for who I am without my parents around. And as much as I love them, it was really nice to have that sort of independence for myself. So I think that would be one of the biggest changes in me, like spending 5 months living in a country that you've never lived in before, and you didn't know anyone that you were going to live with or work with. That was a big step for me. But again, it did change me for the better. But I think, I don't know, what do I say? What was the rest of the question? Sorry.
So, yeah, your biggest learnings. So I guess yours is sort of, you're getting thrown in the deep end and just going for it, and maybe being put out of your comfort zone a bit, actually.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, and then again, with the competition and it more industry based, that was, again, something that I'd never really been a part of and didn't even know there was a side to the industry like that. A lot of it is based more north-based sort of Leeds. So if you're in that area, you're more likely to be a part of things, whereas down in Cornwall, it's miles away from anything of that. But it was so worth the effort to go up there. Some of the things I've learned are just invaluable, and you wouldn't learn them in your own shop.
And that's interesting, because obviously in Cornwall we do have the best fish, so hopefully.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. It's again, it's supply, and trying to make sure we've got enough for the customers that come in day out, and that it is consistent. That is the biggest key to our business, is consistency. I think if you're more a coastal shop and you're only open for the summer and you're very much a tourist trade, it's not much. It obviously, you still want to be proud of what you produce, but there isn't that risk of, if they have a bad meal, will they never come back again because they're only on holiday? Whereas we have to have it spot on every week, because otherwise we'll know about it.
Yeah, fantastic. So just to ask you now, who has been the best coach you've ever had, and why?
So in my personal life, I used to be a swimmer, and I used to swim from probably 8 or 9 years old up until I was about 16, and do competitively. So personally, that Simon would have been my coach, because I was a really good swimmer, Southwest Regional. It takes an awful lot of work and effort to get to that level, and so much fitness. And I think that's sort of, in a way, helped me in my life, of realise that you've got to give it your all, and you can't just quit and be a part of something that matters. And then obviously in the flip side, in the business side, obviously joining you guys last year was just, it's a breath of fresh air for the business, and we're supported in the right way, but we're also pushed, not too much, trying to find that balance to sort of keep you accountable for what you need to do. But again, on a friendly way, you kind of feel like you guys are part of the team, because you're pushing and trying to bring us up as well as, and you care about it. And that, I think, that really shows a lot, because you wouldn't want to be just, it's not like being at school, whereas you're being told you need to do this, this and this. You're kind of a part of it, and that has made a massive difference to how we run as a business and how we'll go forward in the future as well.
Good, that's nice to hear. This one's a bit of a fun one. So do you have any favourite quotes or sayings? I guess if you don't have anything quotes or saying wise, any sort of, favourite books or any sort of favourite films or something?
I don't really know. I'm not that into books, or I really should sit down and read a bit more. But it's, again, I think growing up, this sort of, in the way I have, it's more tech and film and things like that. But I do
podcasts or anything, or?
Yeah, there's an industry-based podcast which I found really interesting, because he goes around and talks to different people in hospitality, but a lot of it is fish and chips.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are mentors that I've been around and learned things from myself, and then it's more specific to their shop and how they're dealing with pandemic and everything like that. So that's the Ceres podcast, which is sort of every 2 to 3 weeks. It's a new podcast, but it talks to everyone and anyone that wants to sort of tell their story. But it's just a way of listening and learning, but you can still get things done. So sometimes I'll be cooking dinner and I can listen to that and pick up on something. And I think you're always learning, and I think probably you're always learning. There's so much that you think you might know, but one little thing can change all of that and make you see things completely different perspective. So yeah.
Good. And then we've sort of touched on this briefly through some of the questions that you've been asked previously. So I guess in one sentence, can you sum up what it is that you've learned about yourself during your business journey?
I think I've got to believe in myself a lot more. And I mean, not to get overwhelmed, realise that, I mean, we did read one book with you guys in the book club, was Eat That Frog.
Yes.
And I love that one. For me, eat the biggest frog first. It's always the job you want to put off, or, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Whereas if you can boss that first job, then life seems so much easier. Yeah, exactly. I think that's definitely what I've learned the most, is focus on what's important and everything else will fit in where it needs to. And again, that's like our profit margin. It's doing that it was a ton of work, but it's made a massive difference. And then everything else falls into place. So, yeah.
And then what does the future look like for you, Lauren? What do you sort of have planned with the business?
Lots of walks with Ricky, my puppy, and trying to explore a bit more of the county. I'd like to do some camping trips with him and just go different places. But business-wise, it's a big sort of step the next couple of years. I think Mum and Dad are seriously looking to retire, so it will be a case of getting a team in place that can run the shop without us manually being in it, as well as sort of trying to learn all the other aspects that go into running the business without being in the shop.
Sure.
So that's putting on some big shoes, really. And yeah, I'm excited. At one point I was really just overwhelmed by it all, but I now think, with speaking to Tim and yourself and just learning and speaking to other businesses as well, you sort of just understand that you're not on your own as well. There's a lot of people that have the same issues as you, and being able to talk to other people about it definitely helps, and you learn how to get through it all. So
it sounds like, I can't remember if you have or not, but we've just read the E-Myth on our book club, which is all about putting your systems into place and having a team ready that can run the business for you so that you can take a step back. So if you haven't, I don't know if you have or not, but that'd be a good one for you.
Yes, I think we have read that. I think we read it right at the start of our journey with you guys. And I think now we're a bit more with it so that we can put those procedures in place and get it to run without us, which is the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Okay, on to the last two. I have to be quite quick with these answers as I'm swiftly running out of time. What's the best advice you'd give to the 18-year-old Lauren?
Oh, save some money, don't spend it all.
Yeah,
I would say. I was working for Specsavers, I believe, at that time, and in a pub, and it was so easy to just spend your money. And I mean, I did go on a few holidays and things like that, but yeah, save some money every month. That would be. I wish I could go back and do that.
My mum always says, spend half and save half. And I was like, oh, that is quite a good idea, but it's too late to listen to that now.
Yeah.
And then finally, with the newsletter, which we publish, do you have any offers or any information that you'd like us to post in there about the fish and chip shop?
We have our lunchtime deals, which are perfect for people that have small, short lunch breaks, but want something hot rather than a sandwich. So we do if you've got someone that you work with and you want to split a deal, we have our 2 for 10, which is our mini cod fillets, so premium cod mini fillets and a small chips, twice for £10, which is a complete bargain. And then some other little lunch sides if you prefer, with curry sauce or things like that. And over the summer we are looking to do some wraps, so some chicken strips with wraps and salad and a sauce, and that'll be a bit different, but something a little bit healthier for a lunch.
We'll have to keep a lookout for those. I'll make some hints. Fantastic. That concludes our interview. So thank you